Welcome to Scomaries. You need to realize how powerful you are, being in control and having total influence over your life. A lot of people are in a state of dissatisfaction. They have this incremental state of low self esteem and they do this unnecessary sabotage because they lack to master the art of self belief. It's the conviction and the confidence that we need in order to self actualize. You have that bugging idea that has been literally begging you to actualize it, but you don't have self belief to actually do it. You needed to make a decision 2 months ago in your job, but you're in self doubt. Your intuition and your gut is literally begging you to stand up for what you are worth. You know you're worth that pay rise. It's crazy because when you sit down and listen to people who had the confidence to be confident and to take action towards what they believed in, it all came down to self-belief. What comes to mind right now is several days ago I was listening to this interview by an investor who apparently was approached by Jeff Bezos when he was still around 26, when he was starting his online book selling. And this investor was talking about how Jeff Bezos approached him and he had this idea to sell the books which had stuck in his garage to make it like an online business. And he had this argument that he should invest in him because in several years down the line, this business will be more than 100 billion worth business. And now this investor talks about how he thought that was outrageous because at the time, there was no country's budget that was more than $1 billion. So he never invested. You should nurture your self belief to the core in such a way that you understand the language that goes on inside your intrinsic value environment and be at a state where you're able to back yourself and you're able to stand by what you want to actually actualize, even if there's no one really literally backing you up. And when people back you up, you literally appreciate it and it's a bonus. Let's dive deeper and see actually how you can start strengthening the roots. You need to start familiarizing yourself with your self authenticity by being more self aware. Self awareness gives you a deeper understanding of why you make the daily choices that you make, the deeper reason as to why you choose other things to other things. You have a preference. And what happens when your why starts being super clear? Now you understand the reason as to why you may make choices. You take the action that you take. It taps the clarity of the why taps into the fuel that leads you to the motion, and the motion propels you to the direction that you want to go, the emotion. And in order to tap into a self-belief and incorporate it in everything that we do, this could be maybe in a relationship. You want to be a better partner to your partner. You want to start making sure you put your partner's feelings into consideration. You're incrementally adding value to the relationship. It could be leaving your corporate job finally because you want to start your own business. In order to actually actualize this, you need to have a conviction of what you want to do. What beliefs are running your life? I was reading this article by Dr. Fred Luskin. He states that human beings, we have approximately 60 to 70,000 thoughts per day, and 90% of those are in our subconscious mind. And it's crazy because 95% of our lives is determined by our subconscious mind. What thoughts are propelling your life? What stories are you telling yourself? Because they are the ones which validate the beliefs that you have. The beliefs trigger the emotions that motion us to action. What emotions do you experience often? Are they of unconditional love? Are they of abundance? Or are they of competition? And that's why knowing yourself is super important. When you start living your life mindful and more self aware, you're going to start to realize the beliefs that no longer serve you. What you do when you start realizing that, this could be via a meditation or via you starting to realize some certain patterns and you realizing the connection that those patterns have to your belief and realizing those beliefs don't serve you anymore. What you do is don't judge them, don't label them if okay, that's a bad emotion. Just see it for what it is, and like subconsciously know if it serves you or not, and then start focusing on the beliefs that serve you. If you, in the same process, if you realize the beliefs that you already embody and they serve you, start focusing on that. So let's take a practical example. Like, let's say when you start diving deep into who you are, you realize maybe you have a lack mentality, especially when it comes to money. What do? You don't go 180 and you start maybe affirming, incorporating affirmations that you are abundant, money comes to you easily. No, your subconscious mind is already running on synoptic connections that validate that you are not abundant. So you cannot. So the moment you do that, it's going to literally reject and ignore whatever you're trying to ingrain in it. So what you do is look at your life, focus on yourself. Look at other areas of your life that are not financial based. It could be like a social setting. Do you have a lot of friends? Do you have abundance in friends? Start focusing on that. Start putting energy to the many friends that you have. Maybe and go as silly as you can to, maybe you live in an apartment complex that has around 200 people, and start seeing the abundance of the neighbors that you have. What happens is there's a small thing in our brain called the reticular activating system, and basically there's a zillion realities that surrounds us, and our brain will be literally overwhelmed when it is left open like that to try and interpret every situation that happens. So what happens, this reticular activating system, it's like a lens that focuses the beliefs that you are to the outside in a way that when it focuses like that, you're able to literally see the images of what you believe in. And that's why we are told not to judge, because if you judge, giving focus to, oh, I don't like this, so no to this, I like this, so yes to this, it sticks. You attract everything that you put energy to. And that's why we are told not to judge anything. Just see it for what it is and try to bring your focus to what you want to realize in your life. So the moment you start realizing the abundance in other area of your life, you're almost gonna start feeling the abundance. After a short period of time, you can start now incorporating the affirmations of money, and even start appreciating the small that you have, because when you start appreciating the small that you have, your brain starts focusing on whatever you have, and it starts appreciating that. You spark that energy of abundance. Now at that moment, your subconscious mind is not very rebellious. Already you're not putting so much energy on the lack that you had realized before, and now your reticular activating system is focusing on the abundance, and that's how you are able to incorporate and show your brain, I'm already abundant in this, let's be also abundant in money. Start appreciating the small that you have and growing it, and that's how you spark the energy. And what happens to the beliefs that you ignore? They dry up because you're not giving them energy. I love this quote by Einstein. Everything is energy. That's all there is to it. Match the frequency of the reality you want, and you cannot help but get that reality. It can be no other way. This is not philosophy, this is physics. Now let's talk about self belief. Maybe you come to the realization that you have plenty of doubt, you have sabotaging thoughts, you procrastinate, you come to the realization of that. What do? Again, don't go 180 on them and start doing acts of maybe affirming how good on time you are, how confident you are in taking actions. You need to realize that the active synaptic connections in your brain don't support that. They support the opposite. So immediately you try to impose programs, statements that are contrary to the active synaptic connections. What happens is your brain immediately rejects them and ignores them, because the polarity is so diverse. The friction is just too much for it to accept it. Don't give energy to it by labeling it like, oh, self-doubt, I don't like being self-doubtish, you know, not self-doubt, I hate it. No, realize it and be grateful for even realizing it. I remember one of my psychology classes, a story a professor told us, and that story stuck with me. It goes like this: it's better for a prisoner who knows they're in a prison rather than a prisoner who doesn't know they're in a prison. What's the meaning of this? Like, if you start realizing things that don't serve you anymore, like maybe you realize the self-doubt, you are already winning, because you realize you're in this prison. You're like 50, you've already accomplished like 50% of what you need to do. Then the next step is finding the way out there, rather in comparison to someone who doesn't know they're in self-doubt. They don't know they self-sabotage. You're already winning. So when you start realizing those thoughts that no longer serve you, what you do is don't label them as bad and good. You intuitively, they don't serve you. The next step is focus on yourself. Start focusing on the things that you're already good at. Are you a super time conscious person? You're always punctual. Start focusing on that and validating yourself for that. Are you super generous? Start focusing on that and being grateful for how your generosity. Are you a kind person? Start focusing on that and validating yourself for that. What happens is when you start focusing on the values that you already embody and continue to serve you, again, the reticular activating system starts bringing to you, that starts showing you in your reality whatever you're good at. What happens to your confidence and your self-worth? It starts increasing, it starts growing. And when you're in that moment, when you start feeling your confidence coming to light, you start be feeling more confident about things, then you can start affirming on some self-beliefs that you want to affirm on. And then what happens to the self-doubt beliefs that you're no longer giving energy to? They start drying up. You're no longer giving them energy, so they start diminishing. They start slowing down. The voice inside your head, which tells you, oh, you're not good at this, it literally starts quieting. It's not as loud as it was before. And eventually, when you continue with the process, you eventually cease to hear the voice anymore. Also, the best part about realizing the beliefs that no longer serve you, what happens is you're conscious of them. The next time you try to make decisions that are self-sabotaging, you're going to catch yourself doing that, and you're not going to do that anymore. Just remember, it all comes down to that one decision that you decide to take. No ventures are really saturated when you dive in with your novel self. Be authentic, believe in yourself. Don't take this so seriously. Don't take it also so lightly. Remember, it's all child's play. Let's have fun. It all comes down to that one decision. Thank you for watching. If you found this video helpful, subscribe for more, leave a comment, and like this video. Otherwise, guys, I love you so much. Bye.